practice, technique, or approach, simply because it's already present. You don't need to make an effort to be present and aware. It's completely natural and effortless. Look now and notice that what you are and the sense of presence awareness are not two different things. You are that which is present and aware. Many words are used to point to this essential nature: presence, awareness, consciousness, life, spirit, emptiness, being, God, oneness, and so on. They're all simply pointers. And what they are pointing to is your true nature, nothing more or less. The body and mind may suffer experiences, yet awareness, your natural being, remains unaffected and uncompromised, just like the sun, ever shining beyond the clouds, is utterly untouched by them. Your true nature has no suffering, doubts, or problems at all. See all this, and you will find that your true nature is ever present awareness, changeless being, and undisturbed freedom and peace itself. These descriptions are pointing to the same wordless, immediate presence of your true nature. You are not a limited, defective person. This false belief is at the root of all seeking, suffering, doubts, and problems in life. Those experiences are only creations of conceptual thought. They all hinge on the imagined person who is assumed to be separate from oneness. All thoughts of a suffering nature are personal. They focus on the identity of a person to whom they are assumed to apply. Interest in these thoughts is sustained by the belief that we are that limited person, that separate self. All our personal stories center around this I thought, this ego or person that we have assumed to be present and real. This is the core mistaken notion, the linchpin of the whole production. All self-centered concepts, the habits of mind, depend on the belief in the presence of this person. Investigate the reality of this assumed person. Where is the person? Is it real? Do you ever find it? At any given moment, there may be thoughts in your awareness, feelings or sensations appearing. Do any of those constitute a person, a separate self? No, they are simply momentary objects appearing and disappearing in present awareness. If you set aside momentary objects and continue to investigate, you will find that there's nothing else present. All there is wide, open, clear, obvious presence awareness itself. And that is not a limited person or entity. The conclusion must be that the person that we have taken ourselves to be is a complete myth, because it's not findable in direct experience. And if it doesn't exist now, it never existed in the past, nor will it ever exist in the future. If the person is discovered as not real, not present, a mere unexamined assumption, then the root of all self-centered conceptual thoughts, beliefs, habits, and attachments is severed. With this recognition, the interest in our self-centered stories fades naturally and effortlessly. There is no more belief in the reality of the central concept, the person. The thoughts and beliefs unwind and scatter like autumn leaves in the wind. There is no more belief in the fixed reference point of a self or a central character. You simply remain as the open sky of awareness in which all thoughts rise and set, untouched, spacious, clear, and always unmodified. The tendency to fixate on or attach to thoughts dissipates. Seeing this, you cannot believe in self-centered thoughts even if you want to, because the basic misconception has been undermined. You do not seek water in a mirage once it is known to be a mirage. What about the nature of the world, the universe that presents itself to us? All that we can know is what appears to us in immediate experience. And that which appears, whether it be a thought, feeling, perception, or any other experience, has no separate or independent existence apart from the awareness which cognizes it. Since awareness and objects always appear together, they must be the same in essence. How many thoughts, feelings, or perceptions can you have outside of awareness? None. They are inseparable. Everything that appears arises from, exists upon, and returns into awareness. Even time, space, and seeming external objects are present experiences. There is nothing separate and apart from this, ever. In fact, there is just this, only this, presence awareness. You are that. How do we live and function in the world? This is a false question, because as we have already seen, there is no one present who can live or function. At a practical level, all thoughts, feelings, and actions go on without any reference to an imagined self-center or person. I am not thinking, feeling, sensing, experience, or acting because there is no I present to do those things. Look at your thoughts right now. Is there an I creating them? Or are they simply arising spontaneously? Surely the latter is the case. Do you have any idea what the next thought will be? If not, how can you say you created it? If you say you are choosing, creating, or controlling your thoughts, then why would you ever create an unhappy or troubling thought? So you see that thoughts simply appear. There is no person or self involved at all. The same goes for choices, decisions, feelings, and actions. They're all happening spontaneously. So the question, how will I live my life, is unnecessary. There is no you to do anything at all. Things simply come up to be done. life and its activities arise spontaneously and effortlessly from moment to moment in response to the demands of the situation and circumstances. You can see all of these things directly. No special insight, awakening, or enlightenment is needed. What is being pointed to is the natural condition of what is. We may have overlooked this, but it is not difficult to see. How could it when it is shown here in plain view? However, if necessary, you can review the basic points covered above and confirm them for yourself. Then the simple truth of your present natural state stands out very clearly right now. Before the next thought or experience appears, you are already that natural and uncontrived awareness itself.
Okay. Any comments, questions?
So, this is Wheeler's approach. It's certainly an example of the direct approach. He challenges you to look right now into the nature of your present awareness. And one of the most crucial things he brought up is to challenge you to see, is there an I, a me, present in that awareness? Can you find that me?
It's a constant battle for me, Paul. Getting rid of the I. I get pissed off too many times during the day. And getting rid of the I, man. God, you think I can get rid of it by the time they start throwing the dirt on the grave?
Well, to be clear, he's saying you don't have to get rid of it. If you take a real good look, you'll see it's not there. You'll see that it's not there. You don't have to then keep fighting with it.
It's just so counterintuitive, though, because it certainly feels like there is a me.
It feels alive.
Right, that's very much here.
I thought about, tell me if this is worthy. I thought about kids in detention centers, and it just boils in me. I get pissed off. It reminds me of the pogroms in Russia. I get angry, guys, I got to tell you. That's it. I guess that's one of the things. Am I on mute?
No, we hear you.
Okay. That's it. Those, things like that. I'm not trying to hide behind some kind of self-righteous stuff, but that's what it is most of the time.
So the question is, what is it that sees? What is it that perceives?
I see a kid in prison that doesn't belong there.
No, but what is it that actually perceives? I thought what John Wheeler was saying here is that it's not really the me that perceives. It's awareness, consciousness itself that perceives. And we're the instrument through which this perception is taking place.
He would say that there is just seeing. There is no seer.
Right.
There's just hearing. There's no hearer. There are thoughts arising, but no thinker.
So, Paulie, what do I do with that? How do I...
You would have to look into your own experience and see if there's any truth in it for you.
Well, look, you have to begin with, I think what's really important is to begin with what is the question, what is real? because he's saying, obviously, John Wheeler, that this me isn't real. So we start with the question, well, what is real? And usually what's considered real is that which never changes. That's one of the definitions of reality, that which never changes. So we have to look inside and ask ourselves, what is it that never changes? And so we look, but we have to look seriously. What is it in me that never changes? I know the body changes, right? There's clearly been a change in the body. The mind changes because the thoughts change and feelings change, and beliefs change and opinions change. The senses change, constantly the senses are changing. So what is it that doesn't change? What is it that never changes? And what you have to say is awareness. Awareness doesn't change, because the same awareness that's hearing these words right now, the same awareness that is speaking these words right now, is the very same awareness that was present at 3, at 23, at 43, and so on. It's the same awareness that's present when you dream, that's aware of your dream. It's that same awareness, and that doesn't change. So then, what is this me?
On.
Yeah, the awareness is seeing what he was seeing, is seeing that, is aware, witnessing that. But then isn't the me coming in with a feeling like, oh, this is upsetting me, or whatever it might be, frustrating me? Can't you have both? You have both the awareness, but then the me comes in with its agenda, or no? You know what I'm saying? Or with its experience, what it comes in with, experience.
Before it comes in with any kind of a comment, there's a direct seeing of cruelty.
Yeah, yeah.
Direct perception of cruelty. And then from that direct perception, there's an action. It's not a reaction, it's an action. You don't need a me for there to be an action. So what is the action when there is a direct seeing of cruelty? Or whatever the action needs at that moment dictates the action. So I mean, if it's happening in Texas and I'm here in New York, then I have to see what is the right action for this particular body mind, for this particular instrument. But as John Wheeler just said, why does there have to be a me? Why does there have to be a me?
So Evie, so the action could be, in this gentleman's case, the action could be compassion.
Well,
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
what action would compassion take? Well, he might pick up the phone and call his congressman. He might get on a plane and fly out to those children. He might donate some money to an organization that's helping those children. So there are actions that can be taken that are right actions for that situation.
Right action. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So the important question here is, how is one to realize that this me doesn't really exist. How are we going to realize that? What has to happen for us to realize that? Well, as I said before, one of the things we're going to do is find out what doesn't change. Because that which changes really can't be real, can it?
Mm-hmm. Evie, could we, if we're not talking, can we mute? Make sure we mute if we're not talking, you know, talking, because I'm hearing some.
Oh yes, please.
Yeah, everyone please mute if you're not asking a question.
So
Yeah,
the
well,
me is an appearance, right? Because you see, the me feels like the ultimate subject, right? It feels like me and you, me and this table, me and this chair. So me feels like the ultimate subject. But when we look really closely, we see that awareness is able to see the workings of this me. So if the awareness is able to see the workings of this me, then the me can't be the ultimate subject. The me is an object. This ego is an object, just like the table and the chair. The thought is an object, just like the table and the chair. So the me as an object is just an appearance, like any other object. It appears and it disappears. It appears and it disappears. Thoughts appear and they disappear.
but we have to be clear about a basic point. We have to be clear that we are not our thoughts. A lot of people think I am my thoughts. My thoughts are me. That's the thing to really be clear about. Thoughts thoughts come and go. There's no personal ownership of them. They aren't alive in the way that consciousness or awareness has a life essence to it. Thoughts are passing phenomena. And we can't get mixed up and believe that we are our thoughts. When I sit quietly and there is no movement of thought, where is there a me in that silence? If I'm sitting and my thoughts are spinning like crazy, perseverating over some problem or some hurt or some dilemma or some worry, I could certainly think that, wow, here I am. This is me with this problem, this issue. That's the confusion that sets in. But if when I'm quiet and there's no movement of thought, where is there a sense of a personal me? That's what is really crucial to see. When you sit quietly, can you find a me in that silence?
But thought is me.
The thought is the ego me.
That's right. Thought
It's not my awareness. I'm talking about awareness. There's no me in the silence of awareness.
That's right. There is no me there. When the thought doesn't move, the me is not present.
Right.
When the thought moves, the me is created. But what we've done is we've identified who we really are with those thoughts and with this ego me. So all of us believe, yeah, I am my thoughts, and that's all I am. And the me is real, and the ego is real. And so we've lost sight of the fact that there is an awareness in which all this appears. And that's what he was saying here. He was saying you're losing sight of the background in which all this appears. And so I think it's really important to ask ourselves, what is the nature of this me? What is the root of it? How does it act? What is it that it does? And if we look at it, we see that every psychological pain, every psychological suffering, every psychological fear, every psychological prejudice and bias, every psychological division, me and you, us and them, all that is the working of the me. That's always the me. So we say, well, how is this known? How can we know all this? We know it because awareness is shining a flashlight on it, so to speak. Awareness isn't doing anything but just aware, it's just awareness. But it's really the light which illuminates the workings of this thing. And that awareness doesn't change. That's changeless.
And it's not affected by any of the personal thoughts I have.
That's right. That's right.
It's not affected or contaminated by any thoughts, beliefs, conclusions, or actions. It's pure.
And as Krishnamurti always says, it's choiceless. And you know, that's so beautiful, that phrase, choiceless awareness. Because it's saying, with choiceless awareness, there's no judgment. There's no comments about anything. There's no conclusion about anything. It's just an awareness of what is. And if we're able to stay with that awareness of what is, we then begin to find out what we are. Because that's how we begin to get in touch with our me. When there is choiceless awareness of the workings of our own being, of our own mind. Choiceless awareness in the moment.
And so, you know, he just started off by saying that it's all about clarifying your identity. And, you know, we identify with our thoughts. We claim them, we own them, we personalize them. And it's that disidentification that is the challenge. To have thoughts come up without identifying with them, without making them personal.
So what do you say? What about for each of you? What's your experience? Or how do you hear all this? Yeah. What are you hearing? How are you hearing?
Abby?
Okay, Bill, and then, yeah, go ahead.
Since watching Infinite Potential, you know, the biography of David Bohm and the influence of Krishnamurti, I've been working with this, the observer is the observed.
Correct.
And going back to, for example, if I look out the driveway and I see my car, I am not the car, but yet there is no separation between me and the car. So I'm trying to figure out what does that mean exactly? That everything is consciousness, therefore, in a sense, there's no separation. I mean, is that your take on this? And that I am always in relationship to the car, to this computer screen, to whatever, or to a person, and we are always in relationship. So I don't know if you can clarify that a bit for me. I'd appreciate it.
Well, what Bohm was saying in the film, when he was talking about the expletive and implicate order, remember he said the explicate order is that which is outside and everything is separate. The implicate order is that which is inside and there's no separation, right? Everything is one. And he said that was the true basis of reality through his mathematical computations and experiments. That that's the basis of reality, that everything is one. Now, when Krishnamurti is talking about the observer as the observed, what he's talking about is psychologically the observer is the observed. At the ultimate, yes, you know, you could say there's no difference between you and your car, but you're not your car at this level of reality. At this level of reality, the observer is the observed psychologically, so that when you are aware of anger, you're not separate from that anger. You as the me are that anger. Me is anger. The observer is the observed. I look at my fear. The me is looking at that fear, and the me is not separate from that fear. The observer is the observed. Now, how do we know all this? Because there is, the observer is the observed takes place in time, right? This is all time bound. This waking state is in time and in space. But that which is aware, awareness itself, is not time bound. It's not in time and space. Why? Because it's aware of time and space. So it cannot be in time and space. And it is awareness that is aware that the observer, the me, the ego, is not different from that which it observes. And it's really important to begin to see. That's why all these sages say, watch what's going on. Watch the movement of greed. Watch the movement of fear. Watch all that and see from whence it comes. And if you really look with a choiceless awareness, you will see that the me, the ego, is not any different than these appearances that come up psychologically.
So if I observe the babbling brook, I am not that babbling brook. But if I have an enormous joy observing the babbling brook, I am that joy. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's interesting. If you were observing the babbling brook, and there was absolute silence of mind or brain, there was no thought moving, there wouldn't be a me, right? There wouldn't be an observer. Then you and that brook are one, because there is no me. There's nothing that's separating.
So the separation is about the me.
That's right.
Introducing the me, then the separation. Take the me out of it. There's no separation between you and whatever phenomena,
That's
physical or mental, is occurring.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you.
Yes. That's why in relationship with other people, which is the most important, When there is no me, then there is no separate self. And where there is no separate self, then there is no division. And then there is a feeling of oneness in relationship. And then there's true love and true compassion. That's why it's essential that we understand this me, this separate self, and just pull the plug on it when it arises. Very gently. We're not killing anything. We're not being aggressive here, but we're being very vigilant and aware as best we can be.
Well, Wheeler was saying that if you see clearly that it is a myth, if you can't find it in direct experience, then it kind of withers on its own.
Paul, which Wheeler book are you reading from?
Wheeler has two books. Tonight I read from You Were Never Born is the title of it.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a reaction to what they heard in the reading?
Well, I couldn't. I mean, I've read a lot of Wheeler, and yeah, I think one of the things that he keeps pounding, you got to start off with trying to answer that question: who am I? If that question doesn't arise, this is a waste of time. You know, you're going up the river in a canoe. That don't work so good. But I think that the people that do read and that are here are interested in it.
Yes.
But that's the starting point. That, at least for me anyhow, a lot of this stuff, I read Wheeler for about a year, and I read Krishnamurti 13, 14, 15, 16 years ago, never made any sense. Freedom from the known. I thought he was, there was something wrong with him or something. I couldn't understand what he was getting at. But through reading Wheeler, through a little bit of the Buddhism that I was getting here and there, a curiosity developed. And it seems like that's the key question for me anyhow, is to see that the thing that I am is a creation of thought. It comes out of thought. And if you read Krishnamurti, which anybody who's really serious about this stuff, if they don't do it, I'm going to scold them and say they should. No, he'll put it together for you. He'll explain it to you how this works, how you get this thing working from a small little person. When you're very young, you're conditioned to develop this I. That's all you know until you stumble upon something like this. All of society, everything, no matter where you go in this world, it's all about the I. It's all about the me. And to find out that this is a creation of thought and that this is a fabrication, it's stunning. And it's driven me to keep reading and to find out, because I think what happens is that as you get an understanding of this, you realize, although I can't do it all the time, I mean, I get glimpses of it, just like David does, you know that when you're doing something and you're thinking about it, you know it's the I doing thinking, and it's not, it's distorting what is. And I think that what they're trying to tell you with this awareness thing is that when there is no I, the awareness sees things as they are, and whatever the action is going to be, it's going to be perfect, it's going to be right, because it's the only action that can occur, because there's no censor. That, you know, Krishnamurti loves to use the word, another word for the me is the censor, the I. And when you're seeing things through that filter, you don't necessarily see it accurately. So your action is going to be at best incomplete.
Yes.
So that's what really keeps me working at this thing to get a better understanding of it.
Well, Ugo, just to repeat the last paragraph here, what he said. So the question, how will I live my life, is unnecessary.
Yeah.
There is no you to do anything at all. Things simply come up to be done.
Right.
And its activities arise spontaneously from moment to moment in response to demands of the situation and circumstance.
Yep. And we can all do that. We can all of us relate to that. I mean, all of us have had times when, you know, you just do something. I mean, you get up in the morning and the next thing you know, you find yourself doing something. And with this learning and with this sharing and so on and so forth, shining light on it, being aware of what's happening that way, you realize that you don't necessarily have to have this I conducting the orchestra. The orchestra can play perfectly well without you. In fact, even better most of the time. And I think that's another thing that encourages me about getting on with this and learning it, just how important it is in a few more years that I got. But you know, it's incredible. You don't have to run the show. There is no the conductor's got a lousy score.
Right.
And but unfortunately, sometimes I keep reading the score anyhow. You know.
Well said.
Could I venture my opinion here?
Yes, hi, John.
Hello. First, I want to say the only thing I'm adamant about is that my opinion is worthless because people do not control their thoughts. For instance, if I had too much testosterone, I would have these aggressive thoughts. If I had too much estrogen, I would be weepy, and these thoughts that were occurring to me would be mine, or I would think they're mine. So there's a biological part to it, and part of it is what's around you. They've looked at twins that were separated at birth, and they both had the same likes, but those were their thoughts, and those were what they thought they liked. But they're not doing the thinking. I think like Sam Harris talks about a little bit of this on YouTube. But once you can say, all right, these aren't my thoughts, you can then practice karma yoga and do everything in the name of God, because you're really not thinking it anyway. You're not really the doer that much. You can kind of walk away from that. Second of all, as far as the universe and you, as I understand the newest quantum theory is that the universe wouldn't exist without you, without your awareness, and your awareness affects what's happening. And the most famous one is the two-hole experiment, where when there's a conscious observer, it then reacts differently. So the outside universe, it collapses into reality. It's no longer in superposition in no place or more than one place. So your consciousness is necessary. So before there was consciousness, there was no Big Bang. That's what would have been here had there been a conscious observer. And so it needs you. And in fact, the past hasn't necessarily occurred yet, because if light's traveling here from a distant quasar, you observe it, it then has to choose the path it took in the past. So you are an integral part of it. But that doesn't help if you're feeling depressed or overly happy, or you lost money at the casino. Doesn't help you at all. These are, I think, facts. So.
Yes. So that's why we bring it down to everyday life, because that's where we truly live moment to moment in everyday life. But in everyday life, we live from the past. Because you see, the me is the past. And the idea is, can we live in this present awareness? Can we live in presence awareness? Or are we doomed to live from the past, projecting into the future? Living in the past, we create depression. Projecting into the future, we create fear. are we able to, in our daily life, to not live from the past and not project into the future, but be fully present in the now, moment by moment?
Only if you're aware and you thought as the me. That's how you live, not ruled by the past and not projecting into the future. If you're aware moment to moment of the movement of thought as the me, you can interrupt, and that thought pattern pulls you to the past or projects you into the future in a personal, suffering kind of way. So it comes back to watching our conductor. We don't always need a conductor. The orchestra will carry on and play fine. When things get complicated and I have to figure out this statistical problem or some complicated material problem, thought has a role to play. But other than that, it's up to mischief. It's up to mischief. It'll bring me either into the endless desire with a lot of frustration, but it will have me constantly worried about something and keeping me up at night or causing me to overeat to fill my anxiety. That's most of our daily life. So you've got to keep an eye on the me. And the best way to do that is to watch the movement of your thoughts. But you have to remember to do it. Otherwise, you just go on with it. So next week, let's see what we are finding to help us all stay present, alive, and aware. And we'll all have a good, safe week, and we'll meet next week. Peace.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paulie, Evan.
Buonanotte tutti.
Bye, everyone.
Love you.
Bye, guys. Bye, everybody.
Same here.
Thanks so much. Mwah.
Bye-bye, Abby.
Nice to
Bye.
be with you. Nice to be with you.
Ciao.
All have. Bye, everybody. Bye now. Bye.